All right, let's get right into a story from Genesis that feels like a high stakes thriller. We're talking about a tale of paralyzing fear, a lie that just spirals completely out of control, a king who gets caught in the middle, and get this, a divine warning delivered in a dream. This is our deep dive into Genesis chapter 20. So, if you boil it all down, you've got these three core pieces. You have a lie, and it's told by someone we usually think of as a hero. You have an innocent king who's just caught in the crossfire. And then you have this dream, a dream that carries the weight of life and death. This is exactly where it all kicks off. Okay, so let's set the scene for Act 1. You've got Abraham and his wife Sarah entering a brand new kingdom. But here's the thing you need to know. This isn't some new strategy for Abraham. Oh no, he's pulled this exact same stunt before back in Egypt. So this lie, it's really an old, dangerous habit, one that's born out of a fear that just keeps overshadowing his faith. So our story picks up with Abraham and Sarah arriving in this new place called Gerar. It's ruled by a guy named King Abimelech, but instead of walking in with confidence, Abraham is just gripped by this powerful and very familiar fear. And there it is. That's the lie. Faced with this new, unfamiliar culture, Abraham looks at his own wife, Sarah, and tells everybody, including the king, she's my sister. Now, this isn't just some little white lie, right? This is a deception that completely changes her status and puts her in a very dangerous position. And the consequences? They are immediate. King Abimelech, thinking Sarah is single and available, does what kings did back then. He takes her into his household. He has absolutely no idea he's just taken another man's wife. Just when it looks like Abraham's deception has actually worked, the story takes this sharp, supernatural turn. The conflict suddenly isn't just between a king and a prophet anymore. Nope, a higher power steps right into the middle of it. Can you just imagine being King Abimelech for a second? You're asleep, and in a dream, God shows up with a terrifyingly blunt message. You're as good as dead. And why? Because the woman you just took, she's married. The stakes have just been raised from a social mistake to a matter of life and death. And this is the million-dollar question, isn't it? I mean, Abimelech was lied to. He was acting on the information Abraham gave him. So how in the world can he be held responsible for a sin he didn't even know he was committing? So on one side, you have Abimelech's defense. He's pleading his case, basically saying, hey, I did this with a clear conscience. My hands are clean. But then you look at the other side, and the divine response is just absolute. It's not a negotiation. It's a command. Fix this right now, or you and everyone in your kingdom will die. His intent, it turns out, doesn't erase the consequence. Abimelech doesn't waste a single second. That dream has shaken him to his core. And as soon as the sun is up, he goes straight to the source of this whole mess, Abraham. You can just feel the intensity in these words. This is not a calm, curious question. This is the sound of a terrified man whose entire nation is now under a death sentence because of one guy's lie. He's demanding to know what he could have possibly done to deserve having this great sin brought down on his whole kingdom. It's just a raw, desperate confrontation. So what on earth was Abraham thinking? Well, he finally spills it. His entire deception, it was all born from fear. He literally says, I thought, surely there's no fear of God in this place, and they're going to kill me to get my wife. It was a calculated move for self-preservation, sure, but it's one that completely ignored the potential consequences for everyone else involved. And then Abraham throws in this fascinating little curveball. He reveals that his lie was technically half-truth. Sarah is his half-sister. But of course, leaving out the tiny detail that she is also his wife, well, that's the whole deception that caused this entire crisis. So how do you possibly clean up a mess this big? Well, the resolution is pretty complex. It's got a few different layers. This is going to take a lot more than a simple, I'm sorry. We're talking about restoring honor, making things right materially, and seeking divine intervention to actually undo the damage. King Abimelech's response is incredibly swift and total. He doesn't just give Sarah back. He showers Abraham with gifts, livestock, servants, and then offers him a place to live anywhere in his entire kingdom. Now, this isn't just about being generous. This is a massive public statement that he, the king, acted in good faith and is now doing everything he can to make it right. Abimelech also gives Abram 1,000 pieces of silver. And this isn't just a payoff. It's a very public gesture meant to clear Sarah's name, to show everyone that her honor was never compromised. In a world where your reputation was everything, this was an absolutely critical move to restore her standing.
But here's the twist. All those gifts couldn't fix the divine consequence that was already happening behind the scenes. We find out that as soon as Sarah was taken, God had afflicted the king's entire household, making it so none of the women could have children. Now, for a king, a threat to the future of his dynasty, that was the most serious crisis you could possibly imagine.
And in this one final, fascinating turn, the healing can only come from the man who caused the problem in the first place. See, God had specifically told Abimelech that Abraham was a prophet. So Abraham has to pray for the very king he deceived. And it's only after that happens that God lifts the curse and heals the entire royal household. So, as we wrap this up, we're left with this big question. What is this story really all about? Is it a story about how even our greatest heroes can be deeply flawed and can repeat the same mistakes over and over? Is it a lesson in divine justice, where being innocent isn't always enough to protect you? Or is it, at its very core, a stark warning about the high, unpredictable cost of letting fear make our decisions for us? Definitely something to think about.